How about Trump claiming that he has nothing to do with Project 2025?
I mean, the Heritage Foundation is the beating heart of the GOP policy apparatus. In fact, I know this isn't a lightning round, but I just got to dwell on this for a second. Because I think it's incredible that actually the biggest scandal of the year is a policy scandal, is Project 2025. Most people say elections aren't really about policy anymore, but if you think about it, the biggest scandal, the one that actually has the Republicans the most afraid, the one that has the president doing damage control, it's not a criminal cover-up, although, you know, they had one of those too. It's not a sex tape. It's the simple fact that they wrote down their own policies. That is the thing that they might not recover from.
That was Pete Buttigieg pointing out the most important point here, that while Trump is trafficked in lies and fraud and sexual abuse, the one thing that he seems especially worried about is the fact that his team released their own plan. In fact, he made that even more clear when he posted on Truth Social during Kamala Harris's DNC speech, quote, lying again about Project 2025, which she knows, and so do all Democrats, that I have absolutely nothing to do with. I like to use the expression, a hit dog will holler. Donald Trump is panicking not because he's innocent, but precisely because he's not. Let's not forget, Project 2025's own author, Kevin Roberts, president of the Heritage Foundation, made it abundantly clear how inextricably linked the two were.
We've been working with all of them on one project since soon after Joe Biden took the oath of office, before any conservative presidential candidates had even entered the race. As my friend and colleague Paul Dans before talked about briefly, our Project 2025 has developed a comprehensive policy agenda, but even more importantly, recruiting people, 20,000 people to go into the next administration, hopefully to help take back this country for you and for your audiences. We want no credit. We want the American people, if President Trump is elected again, President Trump and his administration, to take credit for that. But it will also be a great sign, if all of this is successful, that in fact, as we know in our prayer time, but maybe not every time when we're watching the news, that the Lord is still smiling upon America.
And here are other Project 2025 authors making it clear that without Donald Trump, Project 2025 wouldn't exist.
Well, I suspect this project wouldn't exist if we didn't have the Trump administration, where you had a new maverick candidate who didn't have the machinery of the party necessarily like lining up and everybody from previous administrations helping out. And so you had this situation where it became clear that something like this is very necessary.
Well, that's quite true. I would say even more necessary in kind of the circumstances you describe, because even a we'll call it an establishment candidate where everybody just sort of wanders back in, but they're not particularly conservative, then, you know, they're more open, they know what to do more, there's less chaos, but they're less likely to actually seek to implement conservative policies. So there's a trade-off there, and we're trying to overcome the downside of that trade-off.
And here's Trump himself embracing the Heritage Foundation for laying the foundation for what a second Trump term's policy agenda would include.
Our country is going to hell. The critical job of institutions such as Heritage is to lay the groundwork, and Heritage does such an incredible job at that. This is a great group, and they're going to lay the groundwork and detail plans for exactly what our movement will do and what your movement will do when the American people give us a colossal mandate to save America. And that's coming. That's coming.
So you've got Project 2025, which itself includes over 200 members of the Trump White House. You've got the leader of Project 2025 broadcasting his understanding that Trump himself will receive full credit for the implementation of Project 2025 from the Trump White House. You've got Trump himself embracing the Heritage Foundation for laying the groundwork that he'll enact as president, and yet we're supposed to believe that he's got nothing to do with it? Sure thing, Donald. Got it. Although I must say that not everyone is as discerning. Here's a quote-unquote fact check from USA Today. The claim is that Project 2025 is a plan from Trump, which they rated false, writing, Project 2025 is a political playbook created by the Heritage Foundation and dozens of other conservative groups, not Trump, who said he disagrees with elements of the effort. There are, however, numerous people involved in Project 2025 who worked in Trump's first administration. Ah, well, I guess so long as Donald Trump says he disagrees, then we just take him at his word, right? When I say that Trump has learned how to game the refs in this country, this is what I mean. All he has to do to distance himself from a plan that would be implemented by Trump himself is say that he disavows it. And suddenly all of these fact checkers will lean on semantics and say, well, technically, Trump said he disavows it. If you're wondering why more and more people are moving from legacy media to alternative media, this is why. It's because they continue to heap all of this goodwill onto someone who does not deserve it. Someone who has proven over and over and over that he will lie to get what he wants. And yet the media is more focused on semantics and parsing words than the obvious truth right in front of us. The elephant in the room. It's not creators who are relegating certain outlets into obscurity. It is those outlets themselves with nonsense like this. The truth is that Donald Trump only felt the need to try and distance himself from Project 2025 because it became clear just how much of a political liability it is. As of July, Navigator Research found that Project 2025's popularity among Democrats was negative 57%, among independents was negative 20%, among non-MAGA Republicans was negative 19%, and among MAGA Republicans is only plus 1%. When your policy platform is at a mere 1% approval among your own base, that's probably a testament to the fact that you might have jumped the shark by putting your policies down on paper. In fact, that point is so obvious that Kamala Harris made it herself.
He and his extreme Project 2025 agenda will weaken the middle class. Like, we know we got to take this seriously. And can you believe they put that thing in writing? Read it. It's 900 pages. But here's the thing. When you read it, you will see Donald Trump intends to cut Social Security and Medicare. He intends to give tax breaks to billionaires and big corporations and make working families foot the bill. They intend to end the Affordable Care Act and take us back then to a time when insurance companies had the power to deny people with pre-existing conditions. Remember what that was like? Children with asthma, women who survived breast cancer, grandparents with diabetes. America has tried these failed economic policies before, but we are not going back. We are not going back. Not going back. We're not going back. We are not going back.
So if Trump is scrambling right now, again, it's not because he's falsely accused, it is because he's been found out. Donald Trump might try to run from his own policies, but he's not going to get very far.